It's so slippy. It's like an ice rink. All right, let's do that again. Hello there and welcome back to Field Study, an exploration into the wild food of the British Isles. It is the middle of January and this week I'm going to introduce you to 3 things that are good to eat in the landscape right now. And then I'm going to be cooking up a recipe using what I believe is one of the most underrated wild ingredients we have here in the UK. Stay tuned. The first thing on our list today is Auricularia judei, or the wood ear mushroom. You'll find this common mushroom growing on dead or dying elder trees all year round. And when it fruits, it forms these beautiful, gelatinous, cup-shaped fungi. So in order to find the jelly ear mushroom, you are first looking for the elder tree. Now the elder tree is said to look old before its time. You'll find it in hedgerows, you'll find it on scrubland, you'll find it in parks, you'll find it pretty much everywhere in the UK. And it has gnarly bark even on young specimens. And the bark is sort of a yellowish colour. At this time of year it will look sort of yellowish and might even be putting out shoots which are a sort of deep red colour. And I'll show you some of those. But once you've safely identified that you have an elder tree, look for dead or dying branches around it, and statistically speaking, you should find some of this fungus. It is one of the most common fungi that we have here in the UK, especially in the wintertime. It has this unmistakable translucent jelly-like mouse's ear thing going on, and you'll find it hanging downwards, so the cup facing downwards on the branches. There are a few lookalikes which could be potentially hazardous, and they are the Peziza family, but they usually grow from the ground with the cups facing up. So if this is on a branch, cups facing down, and looks a little bit like a mouse's ear, you are on to a winner. You can slice it up, you can put it in noodle broths. Another thing people do is they dehydrate it and rehydrate it in alcohol, then dip it in chocolate. That was really big for a while. But I am going to be trying something a little bit experimental with this a little bit later on, and I don't know if it's going to work. This one down here is actually frozen solid. So these are actually really nutritious. They are good for the heart, apparently, but they are also high in vitamin K, which is good for the treatment of varicose veins, I was reading the other day. So now you know. But as a mushroom, these actually dehydrate really well. In fact, you will find them dehydrated if we haven't had a lot of rain on the tree itself, and you can pick them then and save yourself the hassle of going home and dehydrating them. But once they're dehydrated, they will store for ages. You can buy these in Asian supermarkets called cloud ears. It's pretty much the same mushroom, and it can be used in lots of Asian cooking like that as well. I like to put it in soups and stews, etc., just for a little bit of textural difference. But I'm going to be doing something a little bit experimental with these ones, so stay tuned for that. So this next plant is one that I absolutely love teaching on my foraging walks. People cannot believe it when they start chewing it, how delicious it is. It's very, very common. I love teaching it at this time of year, and it is Rumex acetosa, or common sorrel. I guarantee if you go to any meadow, any pasture land, any park, any roadside, any country lane, you will find sorrel growing somewhere. It is incredibly common. It likes to grow in clumps, that is many leaves originating from a single point. You're looking for these really distinctive arrow-shaped leaves with these 2 barbed tangs that go down the stem. Here in the UK, and especially at this time of year, there really is only one plant which could cause you confusion, and that is Lords and Ladies, or the arum lily. However, this has much larger leaves and the barbs are curved rather than pointed. Because this plant is so delicious, there is a rich history of it being used in our kitchens. In previous videos, I've talked about using the juice on shellfish, making a sort of verjus out of it. It's incredibly popular in France, where it's sold in the markets. You can cook it into a French sorrel soup and put a poached egg in the middle. Lovely, with loads of cracked black pepper on top of it. You can bake it into tarts and quiches and go that way with it if you wanted. But I thought it would be fun to take this little plant from this frosty January hillside in the UK and take it all the way to Mexico. So join me back at Field Study HQ, where I'm going to show you my recipe for wild rabbit tacos and a spicy sorrel salsa. It's going to be really delicious. My mouth's watering just thinking about it. Let's go. So we're back here cooking in the garden of Field Study HQ, and I'm going to be showing you one of my favourite ever rabbit recipes. So this here is a wild rabbit that has been caught on the Isle of Wight, and it is a beautiful piece of meat. Rabbit has a similar flavour profile to chicken, but just tastes a little bit better in my opinion. And as far as meat goes, you cannot get more sustainable than this. Most farms have a rabbit population, and it is just a byproduct of modern day agriculture. I know that this rabbit here lived a life out on the hilltops foraging for the same stuff as I do, and it's going to taste all the better for it. Now, first things first, for this dish, which is inspired by my favourite Mexican street food, we have to talk about the spice mix. Now, in here is a mixture of smoked paprika and sweet paprika with some salt, some pepper, some chili powder and some fennel seeds. And it is not only going to make this meat taste amazing, it's also going to make part of the sauce that is going to go in a little bit later. And then we're going to want to cover it in this beautiful spice mix. Now this needs to be massaged in. Give the rabbit a good coating of the spice mix and massage in well. Once it's fully coated, pop it in a large pan. I've got this beautiful cast iron that I'm using. If treated incorrectly, rabbit can be quite a dry meat, which puts some people off of it. So what I like to do is poach it slightly. So add in some water or stock and cover with a lid or some tin foil. Now we want to let that simmer and cook away until the rabbit is cooked and tender. Because we put the lid on, all of the steam will cook the meat, and all of the juices and anything that comes out of the rabbit will cook in with those spices, and that will make the beginnings of the delicious sauce that makes these rabbit tacos so good. Look at that. Right, so our rabbit is now done. So I'm going to take this off of the heat, and this is just going to rest for a little bit. We'll be dealing with these later. Now, to leave your pan on the heat, we want all of this delicious cooking liquid to reduce down. Once it's reduced by about half, add some tomato puree and stir in to thicken up the sauce. So our rabbit is resting and the sauce is blipping away nicely, and we're going to get to work on a beautiful spicy green sorrel salsa to go with it. This is a sort of take on a burnt salsa, so what you want to do is get some green chilies like this and some spring onions, or you could use 3-cornered leek from last week's video, and put them on the heat until they start to go black and char on the outside. Once they are blistered and delicious, chop them up and keep on chopping them until they form a paste. Then do the same with your spring onions and get to work on the sorrel. At this point, if you wanted to turn this into more of a spoonable hot sauce, you could use a stick blender, but as I'm cooking in the garden, I don't have such luxuries. Combine with oil and a pinch of salt, and it's done. And then after all that hard work, all there is left to do is toast some tortillas, add the rabbit back to your sauce and stir it well. So there we go, doesn't that look fantastic? That is a spicy Mexican wild rabbit taco with a burnt sorrel salsa. Let's give it a go. So the rabbit is perfectly moist, it's like chicken, but better. And that salsa that we made is fiery because of the chilies. It is sour because of that wild sorrel that we picked, and it is just delicious. You can eat rabbit all year round, but it is at its best in the winter months. And we are coming to the end of rabbit season. So if you can go out there and get yourself some rabbit and try this recipe. Oh, good. I'm going to put that down and say goodbye before I demolish about 5 or 6 of them in like a really ugly style. Get it all over your hand, it's fantastic. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and hit subscribe for more foraging videos from this beautiful landscape. Until next week, take care.